I welcome you to the Top 10 channel. Subscribe to the channel, put a like, and we start the next top. Top 10 Extreme Weather Anomalies. We have come to divide the year into 4 seasons in the non-tropical Northern Hemisphere. Winter's cold, spring's warming and greening, summer's warmth or heat, and autumn's cooling and leaf changing. On rare occasions, though, the weather does not behave in accordance with the season. We'll go over some of the uncommon instances where the weather has taken an unseasonal turn or behaved in an odd way in this list. 1992 Alberta Chinook. Once every few years, the Canadian province of Alberta has a bout of warm air and weather known as a Chinook. This was, however, the most noteworthy and distinctive one to visit Alberta. Southern Alberta was bathed in beautiful, summer-like weather on February 27, 1992, with Calgary hitting a high of 22.6 degrees Celsius, 72.7 degrees Fahrenheit. For reference, the average high temperature for that date and location is 1.3 degrees Celsius, 34.3 degrees Fahrenheit, while Calgary has seen days in March where the maximum temperature did not surpass -20 degrees Celsius on rare occasions. In a typical year, Calgary does not see its first 20 Celsius day until sometime in April, some years even May, but this is the only time ever this Albertan city has seen one in February. (2010) Russia heatwave. Russia experienced searing, excruciating heat in the summer of 2010, with temperatures reaching the mid-40s in some areas. Heat stroke and forest fires killed a large number of people, estimated at 15,000 but possibly more. The scorching weather persisted throughout July and August. (2010) Ontario April heatwave. When do you think would be the best time of year to fire up the grill, throw on your shorts and t-shirt, or head to the beach in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada's capital city? Maybe July or August, when the temperature reaches 26 degrees Celsius on average, but definitely not outside of June, September, or late May. What about April, though? And, to top it off, it'll be early April? In most years, however, such would be impossible, as the temperature in the first week of April normally reaches a low of around 7 degrees Celsius. It would be a very different experience if you arrived in 2010. Ontario was hit by a heat wave from the south, and Ottawa was hit by 2 scorching days in a row. On April 2, the temperature reached 28.2 degrees Celsius, 82.8 degrees Fahrenheit, while on April 3, it reached 28.5 degrees Celsius, 83.3 degrees Fahrenheit. Everyone was surprised that the temperature could surge that high at that time of year, and the weatherman had to declare, "This is no April Fool's joke," while anticipating the heat wave. (1992) Summer cold snap. We've now gone from terribly hot to extremely cold. In the same year as the February 1992 Chinook, Calgary saw some unusual winter weather on August 23, when the temperature only reached 5.3 degrees Celsius, 41.5 degrees Fahrenheit. In addition to the cold, there was a 0.4 centimeter sprinkling of snow. Imagine wearing a winter coat to the bus stop or the grocery in August. That's an impossible concept to fathom. Fast temperature increase. How about a rapid temperature change? The temperature in Spearfish, South Dakota, jumped from -20 degrees Celsius, -4 degrees Fahrenheit, to +7 degrees Celsius, 45 degrees Fahrenheit, in within 2 minutes on January 22, 1943. Extreme January cold. The western United States and Canada literally froze in January 1950. That month was dubbed infamous by residents of Washington state, while temperatures in Vancouver, Canada, were virtually always below freezing. Following a balmy November and ordinary December, the monthly high in Vancouver was -2.9 degrees Celsius, the lowest ever and Vancouver's only year with a daily average high below freezing. While the average high for Vancouver in January is 6.1 degrees Celsius, Calgary never made it above freezing at all that month. with an extreme high being -6.7 degrees Celsius on January 5, with 2 days having a high greater than -10 degrees Celsius, and an average monthly high of -20.4 degrees Celsius. Extreme cold winter to extreme hot summer. The month of December 2008 brought a lot of snow to Vancouver streets. With knee-deep snow making walking difficult and driving practically impossible, Christmas was really white. The temperature stayed consistently below freezing, with a low of -15.2 degrees Celsius recorded on December 20, only 2.6 degrees warmer than the previous record low of -17.8 degrees set on January 14, 1950. July 2009, on the other hand, was a complete 180. In Vancouver, the temperature rarely rises beyond 30 degrees Celsius, 86 degrees Fahrenheit. In fact, this happens about every 5 years or so. However, 4 days in July in Vancouver saw temperatures rise above 30 degrees. The old record of 33.3 degrees was achieved on August 9, 1960, while the new record of 34.4 degrees was set on July 30, 2009. To put it another way, you've gone from one extreme to the other. Warm 2004 spring. In Canada, the spring of 2004 was the warmest on record. April was unusually warm, with many places setting new records for high temperatures. The average April high temperature in Osoyoos was 21.5 degrees Celsius. The average April high temperature in Vancouver was 17.6 degrees Celsius. The average April high temperature in Vancouver was 15.7 degrees Celsius, average of 13.1 degrees. Many cities set records. Calgary recorded a high of 25.4 degrees Celsius on March 30, while Edmonton recorded a high of 24.2 degrees Celsius on the same day, breaking its extreme March high of 17.6 degrees. On May 1, a high of 24.3 degrees Celsius was recorded, followed by 21.5 degrees on April 11 and 18.5 degrees on March 29. Osoyoos high temperatures higher than 15 degrees for 29 out of its 30th of April days. It was a warm, balmy spring for all. Miracle snow. On January 19, 1977, residents of Homestead, Florida, a city with a 25-degree northern latitude, were completely taken aback when they received a little dusting of snow. It was the first time they'd ever seen snow, and it hasn't snowed since. All of this is on top of the fact that Homestead is a sea-level metropolis. The icy, white flaky substance that rained from the sky was not only perplexing, but also alarming to the locals. The cold affected many plants, including crops, and many people did not trust the weather forecaster's miracle prediction of cold with rain showers and a probability of snow. The weatherman actually had to explain what snow was and what it could do to the people, but many of them believed he was joking and didn't take his warning seriously. Year without summer. Mount Tambora erupted in 1816, filling the atmosphere with ash and dust. Sunspots were visible to the human eye, and frost was still present in May and June in Western Europe, the northeastern United States, and Canada. Around 1,800 people died of starvation and freezing when crops failed to mature. In July and August, people as far south as Pennsylvania saw lake and river ice. Subscribe to the channel and like it. There are still many interesting stories ahead.